Jonathan Schrager here for Stretty News TV, and I'm joined by United alumnus and a hero of mine growing up. Actually, one of the players that certainly was a very prominent feature of my era growing up as a Red. Brian McClair, of course, United 1987 to 98, and I believe I did a little bit of research, of course, 127 goals in all competitions. You might correct me on that, but firstly,
there's no way of me correcting you on anything to do with my career because I don't know exactly what it is, so I'm just happy that I've had one.
So yeah, firstly, thanks for taking the time today. Really looking forward to chatting with you about certain elements of your time at United. Firstly, Brian McClair here and now. What is there anything going on that you'd like to, I suppose, talk to us about?
First thing is that I'm not in full-time employment and I'm thoroughly enjoying myself, and I'm happy about being in that situation. Recently, I've become an ambassador for Red Army Bet, which are like a betting cooperative where 50% of their profits will go back into the fans' trusts. So I liked the idea. I liked all the people involved. They're all United fans, and I decided I was quite happy when they asked me to be an ambassador to take up that role, which involves me doing bits and pieces of video, bits and podcasts in the future. It's not started yet, and some appearances at various events at their behest. So it's pretty quite a new company, and it's now been run out of Manchester, and nearly all the people employed in the office in Manchester are big Reds as well, so they understand everything it means to be a United fan.
And I believe you were sort of talking to me a little bit off camera. It was your participation was born out of a sort of a trip to Norway, wasn't it, to meet some fans?
Yeah, that's where that's where the original invitation came from. Went out to Norway, met up with these people while we were out there, got on really well, liked the concept, and I was kind of fairly humbled when they asked me to get involved with them as an ambassador. So far, it's been an enjoyable experience.
Okay, so first thing I'd noticed before we start talking about the football, the beard. As a man who's got a little bit of a beard, it's quite a majestic beard, and you never really had one during your career, so it's something that came.
No, well, actually, I did nearly every pre-season. I did.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, because when I came down after I'd agreed to come to United in the summer of '87, I came down to Manchester to have a look at some properties, and I had a beard and my hair was a bit longer, and Alex Ferguson, Archie Knox, spent some time with me, and I think that Archie was charged with passing on a message from the manager, was that you better not have that, in polite terms, you better not have that hirsute appearance when you come down. I think it was the following week or 2 weeks later for the press conference.
Right.
But I was left with it wasn't unambiguous, the message, So when I came down, there may perhaps be some footage or not, I was suitably naked facially and had a haircut, So I was well aware of maybe his or their view of hair. So it was only really I never enjoyed shaving. I don't like it. So it's always been a thing about all through my career. I would always shave for the game the day before, because I like the idea that you were preparing for a game.
Yes.
And there was a sort of ritual you went through. Yeah. Part of that would be normally the day before I would have a shave, and the next day you would get suited and booted to go to the game, which was different from wearing your casual gear to go to training. So nearly all the time most of the time I couldn't imagine. There might be one or two occasions, but and that's what I like to do. But in the summer I just let it go.
Right. When you reported back for pre-season, now
It's gone, yeah. So that was why, and that was right. That was going all the way back to when I first started playing football, really, So, and this has actually been trimmed, so it's like it was a bit more outrageous. Last week I got it. I don't know what I did, but it certainly was a considerable amount of hair came off it.
I was going to say, because it looks fairly, you can sort of see it's been, as a man who's got a beard myself, I can tell when it's been shaped a little bit.
Well, it was an attempt at shaping, but I think it's got a mind of its own, and I'm not really been into too much product at the moment. So,
do you do it yourself then? When you?
I didn't trim it myself. No, I went to the barber. So I went to the barber. I live in Edinburgh. I just went to the barber and just take a bit. The way he was going, I thought he was going to take all of it off by the time because he kept going back and taking another bit off, and I went, "What are you doing?" Anyway, it's ended up. This is what it is now, so I'm comfortable with it. And it's just a work in progress. Maybe tomorrow I might decide that try something else and look at another way, or I'll change it to some bizarre moustache. You never know. So, no moustache and a beard. I don't know. But.
Yeah. And in this day and age of metrosexuals and male grooming, like nowadays the beard is as much different product as hair. Do you get involved in any of that beard oil stuff?
No, I don't. I can't be arsed with it basically to be. It takes enough time to wash without spending time grooming. So it's what it is just the way it is after I've washed, shampooed it. Because you have to shampoo your beard as well as shampoo your hair. I don't blow dry it, I don't straighten it. It's just whatever it decides to do on that particular day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay. So moving on, I could talk about beards obviously for a while, as you can see, as a fellow beard aficionado. But moving on to the football. So 1987, obviously you get the call about coming to United. But you mentioned to me there as well off camera, you had been a follower of the club anyway since '73. You mentioned, hadn't you?
They were my favourite English team since I saw Dennis Law back heel on the ball on Match of the Day, and I followed them. Followed them on the paper and whatever footage there was in Scotland at the time. Because United are also in the second division. I like to do the reports. I like to read about the how big the crowds were, and I'd be 10 or 11 at the time,
Right. Yes. Okay. So Dennis Law, you'd followed it. You followed the kind of the fans and their behaviour. Was it a very easy choice for you then, when you got a call from now Sir Alex, but it wasn't an easy choice?
It wasn't easy, no, because I was at Celtic. I had 4 fantastic years at Celtic. As a kid, you would follow one team or another. I fell in love with football because of the Lisbon Lions. I saw black and white footage of them when I was a five-year-old boy. So that was I decided at 5 that's what I wanted to do, just play football for Celtic. At the end, Alex Ferguson was more persuasive than anybody else, and that was. Alex Ferguson was more persuasive, and he wanted me more than anybody else. And that was an easy decision then. When it came to the point that he showed that he wanted me more. And the fact that he was even interested in me was kind of humbling and affecting me, because I was like, well, you could buy or attempt to buy any player in Britain, and certainly even at that time some players from continental Europe, if you were interested in them. So it was a very humbling experience for me. That he wanted me to come.
And do you remember? I mean, of course, around that era, Sir Alex only comes in the year before, late in '86. and we all know about, we'll go on to discuss it, the Holy Grail, and of course, you were part of some fantastic years when we managed to break the duck, and in fact even before, of course, in the build-up to it, a couple of good trophies. But we all know that Sir Alex came in, and we all kind of know the few years where it wasn't, it's still fairly barren, and people at even points were calling for his head and things like that. So it wasn't an easy time in some ways to come to the club. Do you remember, did Sir Alex have to almost, was he persuasive in also sort of selling you the dream of what United could become?
He sold me a dream. Now, the dream was a good one, but the dream that occurred overshadowed the dream that was sold. So it was a good one, and a very good one, but I can think that even it would have. I think it was very much surpassed his idea of what was going to, or he would like to have achieved. We can all dream about various different things, but what happened in his tenure, I don't think that he would have even in his most imaginative time, thought that would transpire.
We'll sort of go through various stages of building up towards a success, but were there ever any times where did you have unswerving trust and belief that Sir Alex would get to where, break the duck, win the title? Did you? Because at times during that period that you were there, you probably did see banners in the crowd, Sirrah, Fergie, and all that kind of stuff. Did you always believe in it?
Yeah, we did, because, and it all the way through the process is that probably the most critical thing between the players and the manager was the trust part. There was loyalty and respect, but the trust part was key. He'd shown his trust in us in that he didn't criticise us publicly. We certainly got plenty of it in the dressing room, plenty of it, and deservedly so. But he carried the burden of responsibility at that time every day. He was getting abused every single day. We were getting it on a Sunday and a Monday in the newspapers after games and all that, but he was getting it every day, and he shouldered that on himself and carried that through. And at no point did I ever think, though, that there was a risk to his tenure as a manager. Even before Nottingham Forest game, there was going to be. There was no indications from anyone, not that you're ever party to major decisions, that certainly made it times. There was no feeling within anywhere that anybody had any nervousness about him not being in the job. We all, the ones who are still there, were looking to see that it's going to we're making progress. I know that we make progress in the sense we were quite far down the league, but we felt like we were moving somewhere in a better place.
Yes.
And that was the thing about it. So it was kind of a surprise when people were saying, well, that game saved his job. I never felt like that, And then we went on to the thing, which was a kind of, it was a very romantic story in a way, wasn't it? We played every game away. Every game was on a Sunday. And you have an amazing final. An amazing final as a spectacle, and then win it the second game, which was a diabolical game. But you win the game, and that's all that matters really at the end of that. And it gives you everybody a huge lift. That's one thing, And then the next, it becomes habitual in that you want it. I mean, that's had success from previous clubs as well. But you want it, and you want to go back to Wembley again, and you want to be involved in this, and you want to win, And he drove through until you get to the thing where you're almost there, and the thing that I'd kind of balk against and disagree with. We didn't lose the league. Leeds won the league, so they won the league. They were the best team that year. They had more points than us. That's all it can be. We can moan and complain about fixtures. That's just what happened, and we weren't quite ready at that moment in time. And Leeds won the league, and I think that should always be celebrated. It should celebrate in the sense understood. They won the league. We didn't lose it. We were second. on making progress. One of the major parts of that is in pre the Gary and David and Butty coming into the team, was that after we'd lost the game at Anfield, and then that meant that Leeds had won the league. Alan Hansen said that's the best chance United will get. They won't get close to it again. So he was questioning everything about us, bottlers, whatever. That's the best chance we're going to get. Now, certainly I couldn't, and several of the rest of us couldn't wait to get back to pre-season, because we thought we were close. We got so close that we were ready. And the manager had a great saying: every first day of pre-season, every year, you come in and you go, right, who wants to climb back up to the top of the mountain? I'm on my way. If you want to come with me, you're more than welcome. If you don't, come and see me, and you can go and do something else.
Wow, right.
Last year, that was it. Done, just forget it. Done, that's done. Forget all that. Do you want to make some new memories? And I'd been desperate to get back to pre-season.
Yeah.
And then the season didn't start that well. You know, the set for them would be knocked down, and we didn't start very well.
No.
So, and then after, it's like there was never anything lost with that, because our view, and I think it's been proven time and time again, if Manchester United are in the mix at Christmas, we've nearly always come strong towards the end of the season. That's nearly always been the case. We've been there and there. Sometimes they've led from the front and got all the way through. But if they're in the mix, you thought you had a chance. And that's how we looked at that particular thing. And there's different little points you would say, well, that game there really was one that you'd go. So we went to Norwich. It's maybe one of the best games of, certainly the first half games of football I've played in, where we all played really, really well. We played really well.
Counter-attacking masterclass.
We played really, really well. And you come away from that, and that was them knocked the stuffing out of them.
Yes.
And then it was then down to Villa.
Loads of stuff I want to ask you as well, but we're just a couple of kind of general questions before I ask specifically about certain games or seasons. Sort of that you've had a little sip of the Strongbow there. When you came to United, we all know that the game is vastly different now in its culture and everything. I've spoke to various players from different decades, and it's always fascinating to see the difference in. But, you know, having a drink was part of the game then, certainly more than it is now. But we all know Sir Alex came in and kind of tried to, as people popularise, remove the drinking culture. Was that key in a strange way to, you know, or was that just generally how the game was going?
I think that I don't know if it's key, because the manager's view really is about our players. Well, I think what he wants is simple things. Is that our players available to train? Can they train? Can they play? Can they train? Can they play?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a kind of a little bit of a myth attached to reasons for other things.
Right.
And it comes down to, were you available to pull the shirt over your head?
Right.
Because if you're not, you're of no use whatsoever to him.
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking about, well, whatever players are involved or not, I think it was mainly down to he needed to have players enough players to be able to play them.
Yes.
Yes, great players, excellent, very good players. My all-time favourite to play with was Norman. Everybody else asked me who I think the best player was. My view that the best player I played with at Man United was Norman Whiteside. And I've never wavered from that. You know, you've got all great players in the interim period. And then that was him a bit broken then when he was playing. So I think that's the reason. They wanted players who were available to play.
Yeah.
Now that was not there. It was not Norman's fault that really that he'd had so many ailments and operations, and he wasn't capable of performing every single week. Yeah. That's just how it happened. And I think that's the main reason. People going about this and drinking and all that and that. There was still drinking, and maybe I'll still be drinking now, but no, we didn't go. There was never anything going mad on drinking. That was like, you can drink when you had an opportunity to do it, after games.
Yeah.
Was the main thing. The weekend was the main thing, you know. So
Yeah. And again, something I wanted to sort of touch on. You know, there was a very strong Scottish contingent when Sir Alex came in. There's quite a few Scottish players at the club, and it seems like increasingly less there is a Scottish presence at United now, which is kind of sad because there always was really. Is that indicative more of maybe Scottish football generally not maybe being as strong?
it's not. I think it's indicative of the. Well, there is still. I mean, for me, because I've been saying for a long time, because I know his heritage. Scott McTominay's Scottish because he's got a Scottish grandmother. Okay, he's brought up in England and he's spent all his time born in England, and he may well choose to play for England, right? But a number of years ago, I've been saying when I was involved in Scotland, get McTominay in, get McTominay in, get McTominay in, because I always thought he would be certainly good enough to play for Scotland, right? Because you know, if you play for Manchester United, Dan Fletcher was saying they had a fantastic time when he was doing well as well, and now you've got Ethan Hamilton, who's now in the European squad for the. Right, so, and Ethan's a young lad from Edinburgh. So there is still some connection to that, and you'd hope that would always be the case. But it's like anything, once you've got an opportunity to go further afield and you want good players, you're going to take them from wherever you can get them.
Yeah.
So you would never have imagined that the captain of Manchester United would come from Ecuador.
Yeah.
But, or that you'd have a South Korean midfield player.
Yeah.
That's the sort of where you're at now with regards to recruitment. So the fact that there's one and a bit potentially, I think still looks good. Whether there's enough in the future, it'll be dependent on what happens in the development systems in Scotland. But he said that what Manchester United's really focus should still be upon is still producing the one or two kids that can get into the squad every year that are through the academy system, and that's an amazing record that everyone that's been involved in Manchester United since 1945 should be proud of. That there's been at least one academy product, football development, youth development on Manchester United's team sheet for every game. No other club in the world will ever achieve that, ever. And that's something always to be commended.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's just curiosity of mine because obviously so many strong Scottish figures are sort of inextricably linked with the club. So it's nice, like you say, to think that will carry on, even if it's just one or two players in a squad. I wanted to say, okay, so sort of moving back to the football, you touched upon it before with the FA Cup. Then obviously the Cup Winners' Cup. You yourself as a player, you were in that first season. You come 90, 87, 88. You scored 31 goals in all competitions, I believe. You scored plenty of goals in the interim between then and the 91-92 season. That was another notable season for goals with 25 goals in all competitions. But you were prolific. One question I wanted to ask you, and I should have actually researched it because I've actually forgot the answer to the question, but you might know it anyway. Do you know the other 4 players who have scored more than 30 goals in a season under Sir Alex, aside from yourself? There's 5 that have done it, yourself being the first. Do you know the other 4?
Van Nistelrooy.
I believe Van Nistelrooy's in there.
Or York or Cole.
It's one of them, yeah. I should have. I knew it at the time, and I was writing it down, and I forgot it.
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo's got to be one, I'm guessing, and I think I know the other one. Left last year.
Van Persie. Really?
Yeah.
It's possibly right. Yeah, but I was never. See, we'd never won a league for 26 years, and there were people banging on about 20 league goals.
Yeah.
I scored 20 league goals, but we never got close to winning anything.
So it didn't.
No, it was personal achievement. Pleased, great, and I love it to be there and to be part of a band of people. But it's about winning things, So that's what that's what professional. You play professional football to win and then to win trophies. And we had my time, the 11 years I played, brilliant, and then that continued and continued and continued. So
Yeah.
and you want it to continue again as a supporter, you know. So.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm going to sort of delve a little bit more into the, the Holy Grail season, but it was a season that saw you kind of retreat a little bit further back on the pitch.
Not really, though, because I'd never played up front until I was 17. When I went to Celtic, I played all over the place. So I was adaptable, and I think that again, for me, the bit about the manager trusting you was that he trusted you. He wasn't expecting you to be brilliant, and I'm sort of not doing him a favour, because that's not right, but I'm accommodating, and I wasn't being difficult or anything like that. I didn't make a fuss about it because I just wanted to play. So if I'm playing, I'm happy to play, and that's what happened. And I just got on with it, because the man, I just sort of said, it's never changed that. My view, I was supposed to be pleasing him. So if I pleased him by playing on the right side of midfield, and I'll play on the right side of midfield, and that's what I did. And then throughout all the times, even when I wasn't a first choice, I still came on and still played, and I started in various different places I never thought I would ever play. But it was down to, I trust you to play, I trust you to just get on with it, and just get on with it.
Yeah.
So I felt that because I was like that, it allowed me to participate in more games.
Absolutely, and that neatly segues onto something I wanted to mention, really, because like you say, I mean, in the modern day, it seems like player power, and we'll touch on it with the kind of rumours about Pogba, and he's not happy playing in certain positions, and like yourself, you epitomise that idea that actually, as you phrased it, would accommodate. And so that season, the season before, you scored 25 goals, so maybe someone would look at you in the modern day and say, he's not going to be happy if he's pushed back into central midfield. But you did it as a sort of model professional. Do you think there is a contrast now in the way that players approach it? Because with these rumours surfacing,
I still think that players want to play. Maybe the thing now is that there's too much chat around players. What they seem to tell their agents or advisors everything on almost a daily basis. So it's a bit like every day they've got a confessional and someone to listen. Now, there's no way that person, because that person is listening to their client or clients potentially, and their interests looking after them. The coach's job is to look after the club and try and win games, and then look at all of these people, how that he can manage them in order to be successful in games, and then accumulate enough games that you get in a position where you qualify or you win trophies. And the difference in it is just because now that it's easy to look on a player's Twitter account and see what they've been tweeting, and you can interpret it in several different ways. And I think it makes it a lot easier now for the lazy journalist. And it's always been the case. It's not just about now about... The papers are full of stories today. There's stories about Pogba, and there's stories for William Gallas is talking about Pogba. There's scapegoat Pogba. There's De Gea signing a new contract. And there's a refreshment in the idea that Mourinho is pleased the other night when somebody asks him about somebody who's actually playing, not about somebody who's not playing, because it doesn't matter to the coach, it matters to Alex Ferguson, and it doesn't matter to Mourinho. You're a player, I don't care where you came from, what age you are, and what you cost, what you're getting paid, what your haircut's like, what boots you're wearing. Are you fit to train? Are you fit to play? And I'll decide whether you're going to be playing. Now, you make sure that I can't drop you.
Yeah.
Now, if you give me a reason to drop you and somebody's doing better, and I think it's going to give the club, the team, a better chance of winning, the coach is going to do that. And that's probably what's happened. Now,
Do you think that?
that's probably that'll be what's happened. The coach is, but everybody. It's easy enough then to say, let's talk a negative, and it's always been the same about Man United.
Yeah.
Always, all through my time, we used to go, oh, what's that about? What's that about? And the manager would go in and sometimes go, yes. That's another couple of. That's the Christmas party paid for. Look at that article. Lies, right? And he'd sue them, or the club would sue him on his behalf, and they'd have to pay him, and he'd pay for the Christmas party out of that. So, it's that's the way it is, and there's always going to be little bits and pieces from somewhere, you know. And yes, my view sometimes is that the representative. See, there's a lot of representatives and some of the other people, not all of them, but some of them, and some other people in football now, because there's various other positions that are available in professional football, is that there's a load of people trying to be famous who have no talent. And the only way they can get any attention is by saying things might or might not be true. So, and that's where we're at with that. United will always be newsworthy.
Yeah. I'm not going to probe you on the Pogba thing. It was just interesting because to me, it struck out at this particular time as a little bit of a contrast potentially in how you are saying you approached it, and then maybe how certainly fans think Pogba is approaching the situation. I mean, there's obviously fans that think Mourinho's to blame. He should be accommodating Paul, but then.
Well, I mean, no, that's not the manager's job. The players are there to accommodate the manager or the coach, not the other way around. And whatever the coach decides, that's it. Now, people got upset in it, and this is where it's a simple thing. Certainly with our situations, is that of course you might be upset that you're not playing, but you're only allowed to be upset for one day. So anybody will let you be upset for a day. And then the next day, you got to be back at work. Because if you keep just getting upset, there are very, very few occasions, instances, that the player will win over the coach. Because normally the coach knows more, for various different reasons, than the player. And ultimately, they make the decisions. And they're making decisions about where they think's the best team it's going to be played. Now, if he decides that a player, no matter who it is not mentally ready to play, he won't play him. Now, he might be playing a player who, in people's view, maybe the coach's own view, isn't quite as good, but he's better on that day because he's mentally prepared for the game. So he's better, and you can trust him more. And the guy is a bit upset, you know.
Would it have happened in your day? As in, for example, player turns round, doesn't want to play a particular position. And another question, sort of in keeping with that, is it symptomatic again, like sort of modern football, player power, and also maybe, United not being viewed at the moment as stable a setup as, of course, when Sir Alex was there 25 years ago.
I don't ascribe to the thing that it's player power. Everybody's got power in a certain way. At the end of it, if you've got a coach that's been chosen, the hierarchy have got to decide whether that coach is doing a good job. When it comes down to the management of the players, he should be allowed to manage them whatever way he wants to. And what you find is a very simple thing is that would you like to play for Manchester United today? I would like you to play in that position. Oh, well, I don't really fancy it. Okay. See that guy over there who's not playing? I'll get him to play. And I think it's always going to be, not just at Manchester United, nearly any football club at any level, that'll probably be the case. Because you have to perform. You have to perform. Whatever the expectations of the coach are will be different in each game. And if you're not performing, and you bring someone else in and he thinks that they're adding to the team in a different way, of course, because not all two players are the same, then he's going to look at that favourably. And the other player then is, and it always happens, you see, you've got to rise to the challenge. You might get injured. So unfortunately, Andy Herrera out for a while, gets injured again, and he could be out for a few weeks. The challenge for him is to try and get back into the team. If he gets in, so he's given a chance the other day, and Mourinho thought in the small period of time he was on, he liked what he saw.
Yeah.
Right, so had he managed to remain healthy right through the whole game, instead of the whole game, he may well have been in a situation where he might have decided, I'm going to play the same midfield tomorrow.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that option anymore,
Yeah.
only that because of that injury. But that's what you have to do. So Pogba comes on in that game, and it's up to the manager to decide whether he did what he wanted him to do, and to decide whether he's going to involve him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because the manager's only interest tomorrow is try and find a way of beating Chelsea, and it'll be with whoever. It'll be with Sanchez or Lukaku or Pogba, Lindelof, De Gea, Valencia. It doesn't matter. He wants the players that he can trust tomorrow to do what he's asking them to do.
Yeah. And okay, so I was tying in, the sort of maybe the adaptation of positional play for yourself in that season where we won the league, and the fact that you like you said, you wanted to accommodate or what have you. The season itself, I like the way you described it before. Even the way it turned out exceeded everyone's wildest dream, or the dream that you were sold. The season before, of course, and you rightly credited Leeds for winning the league rather than you losing it, but you go back in for pre-season and Fergie gives you the rousing speech, but you have a bad start to the season. Did the thought that actually you might not win the league ever creep into your mind that season, or was it literally?
We got to a point where we knew that we could win it. I think that was it. From the season before, we knew that we could win it. And we had a bad start. We'd had bad starts before, and we could win it. So there was still a really good feeling. There was no point did we ever think it was getting away from us. Although we were like whatever, we had 1 point or something after 3 games or something. But it was only after 3 games, So we felt that it's all about having an idea of, and I think the manager did as well, because we might have been given individual rows about particular performances and things, but there wasn't anything ever to turn around and say you're useless, you lot. You might as well pack your bags and go. We were still getting there. There was still, and the signs were good.
Various games that certainly I've been interviewing some sort of recognisable fans in the last few days. Someone quite well as well, Pete Boyle, and certain games have kind of resurfaced when we talk about that season in particular. The obvious ones being, you alluded to it before, the Norwich away, the Palace game, when of course Villa lost to Blackburn on the same night. The Wednesday game at home with, of course, Bruce's pair of headers. Certain games seem pivotal when in retrospect. At the time, which games for you? You mentioned Norwich away, but were there other games where the comeback made it sort of redoubled your belief that it was going to actually happen this time?
Another pinnacle game was winning at Anfield.
True.
And I scored a winning goal in the game, and it was actually a foul. Now, a couple of years before, I had scored a goal at the Cop End, a volley, dropped down. I didn't score a huge amount of goals from the sides of the box. I fitted a really nice volley, and it's gone straight past Bruce Grobbelaar. And for me, the referee gave it for I don't know why he gave it a foul against somebody else. I think Sparky looked at him in the wrong way, and he gave a foul, and I'd never understood that.
Yeah.
So to score the goal, and I had nudged a Scottish colleague of mine, Stevie Nicol, in the back. I'd given him a little nudge, and the ball just dropped over his head, and I headed it in from a yard. Because right away you know you've transgressed, and you're just waiting for the referee and he didn't, so it was celebrating. And I think having lost there the year before, to go there and when I think we won 2-1, was another one of saying there's 3 more points than we got last year. So you're looking at little bits of where we'll get 3 more points than last year. So, so you look at beating Blackburn as well, because they were starting to become to a bit of prominence as well. So, so that there was I suppose every game really was crucial, isn't it? Because you needed the points in every game. But those are the ones in particular you mentioned about, So,
did you feel the sort of akin to the fans, or should I say, sort of corresponding to the fans? Did you feel that momentum gaining? Because certainly towards beyond April, when you beat Norwich, it just felt like it was building, and the fans were sort of almost, because of they've been scarred in the past by being so close. There were even instances of fans singing, "We're going to win the league," and of course others telling them to shush. But it felt like there was a real.
Yeah, no, I think that we all felt it was a kindred spirit from everyone, that we were building games without getting carried away. Let's get to the next game. So we were approaching us, let's get to the next game. And of course then, because of the way that the fixtures went, they were out of kilter, weren't it? So it wasn't like everybody's playing at the same time. So Norwich and Villa were playing, and we might not be playing, or we might be playing, they're not playing. So if you win your game, they've got to win the game. And I think the way that felt worked in our favour, because I think we were always just a little bit ahead, and then came down to the game where nobody was giving Oldham any chance. Any chance. So you're saying a critical result. Nobody's giving Oldham a chance away at Villa.
The famous story of Fergie on the golf course and everyone going to Bruce's house, I believe, for beers. Was that so? You obviously one of the party. You all went over to Bruce's that night.
Yeah, but I watched the game in a friend's house. And he's 10 years older than me, and he's been a Manchester United supporter since the 60s. And his dad was a United fan before him. And we sat and watched the game. But the last half hour of the game, we stood and watched the game. We stood watching it, kicking it, clearing it, heading it, biting your nails, jumping up and down when Oldham score, and then doing all those things, and then amazing. And then when we got home, there was a message or whatever it is, party at Bruce's house. So we were fortunate to get a babysitter, and be able to go around, And we went, and it was a pretty reasonable evening.
I was going to say, I think even Sir Alex would forgive a bit of drinking the night before a game on that occasion. So then, of course, the Monday night at Blackburn at home, that was the chance for the fans to really kind of make it official and celebrate it. There were quite a few special elements to that night, really. Well, many special elements, but a couple that kind of stick in the memory. Sir Matt being in the crowd, and him kind of witnessing it, and it was really quite poignant, really. And then, of course, another poignant thing was Robbo, Brucey, and Robbo holding the trophy together. But your kind, I suppose, the way that you assess that, it must have been nice, even as a fellow player and what have you, to see two kind of real stalwarts and icons at the club get to do that as well. Because
I think it's something that should be applauded, because Robbo had been Captain Fantastic for such a period of time. He's coming towards the twilight of his United career, and again, like all of the rest of us, he wanted to win the league. That's the pinnacle of a professional footballer's career. He'd had an amazing time as an England international, scoring in World Cups, and now this is the pinnacle. And quite rightly that we kind of felt, though, that, and we never sort of looked at a situation where that well, he's the captain, he's more important than everyone else. We all felt equal because a lot of strong characters in the dressing room, you know. I mean, I never felt that, well, he's the captain, we should do what he does. But he'd been Rob had been a big influence, and he'd been supportive all the way through. A lot of times he wasn't playing, so it's particularly supportive of everyone else to, come on, we need to win this, we need to do this. And it's certainly that he was more than worthy of going up there, and at the same time as Bruce, who was the captain, whatever way around it was. Yeah, I think that was right, and I'm sure that Brian Robson enjoyed it and still looks back on it very fondly.
And then I suppose, just with regards to something that people discuss a lot, of course, Eric, we all know people kind of eulogise over Eric, rightly so, and his impact at the club generally, but how do you assess his immediate impact? Because he comes in and, of course, results improved, and then we went on to win the league, but people talk generally about Eric's impact, but how was his immediate impact on that season?
You always want to have good players, and Eric had won the league with Leeds, and he'd always been reported that he was a enfant terrible, so you had a view of him. And then when he came in and shook everybody's hand, said hello, and they sat and just sat there. He didn't say anything, and then just what he did, he just trained, he worked hard. There was nothing that would ever say he could be accused of any of those terrible things at any point. So right away you say, well, don't know what people are going on about with this guy. He seems a good enough guy. He wants to play football. He works hard. He's a good player. And you knew right away he's a good player, and it was a joy to spend time with him on the training field. And we soon got to learn what he was doing. So he was quoted as saying, I recall Didier Deschamps, a water carrier. Somebody's got to carry the water. Now, I was quite happy to carry the water for Eric because he was making a difference, but we were supporting cast. Yeah, he'd be the star or whatever, but that's okay because he was producing star performances. He's making a difference, and he'd made a difference, I says, from the way that you thought, well, wow, we'll do this and that. Yeah, that's good, and it gave us all a lift. It gave us all a lift in the sense he's a good player. We've got a good player. Why are Leeds letting this player go? Why is anybody letting this player go? He never did anything that would say that at any point to say, well, you're a distasteful person. He was a gentleman, he was courteous, he was a sense of humour. He would get involved in every event. He was never surly at all. It was as if, like, people said that he needed a stage, and that was he'd found his stage, and a half decent supporting cast.
Absolutely. I'll try and rattle off a few fairly quick ones. There's a few little things. One thing I want to ask you that I kind of bypassed, but I want to just remind you because I'm 35 myself, but I have a lot of older school Reds that I'm friends with as well, and they'll remind me of things that I don't quite remember from before even I was going. And they talk often. They mentioned to me, I said I'm interviewing Chocky next week, and they said ask him about Nigel Winterburn. I'm sure it's something you get asked quite often. Is it like, did you ever bury the hatchet with him after that? It was something you, yeah.
Several incidences happened, and then in 1991, Arsenal had won the league, and we went to play them on Easter Monday or something, and I decided that we need to call a halt to this before somebody gets hurt. So I went up to him before the game and says, look, you've got to call a halt to this, and held out my hand, and he shook my hand and just went, yeah, okay, and that was it.
It could have escalated out of hand.
Well, I think it did escalate out of hand, really, say, you know. So just in case there was some worse could anyway. And that's what happened. We had to put a guard of honour. They came out. We lost 2-0, and I missed the birthday of my son.
Right. Liam. So that was the game. He was born during that game, or on the trip. Ah, okay. But you'd buried the hatchet with him, and right. Just something they were curious about.
Yeah, no, I did it. He didn't do it. I did it.
You did it, yeah. Interesting, right. So that was that one. Then I wanted to ask you a couple of specific things that are curious for me. Do you still thank Incy to this day?
Yeah.
For the layup?
Yeah, he should have shot.
Yeah. Because you yourself, I remember you were a very selfless player, so I can imagine in his.
I couldn't believe he'd passed it.
We
were winning 3-0, so it's like score and go in the cup final, have a goal. Another part of that, if you watch it clearly, I nearly missed it because I hit the bottom of my foot. But curious enough, and that kind of the strange thing of that, only a minute or so later, almost exactly the same thing happened again, and Sparky didn't pass it. He didn't pass it. And obviously he missed. Or the goalie saved it. He could have done the same thing. And
Dimitri Karim in goal at that time. Can't remember.
He could have had 2 tap-ins, but he didn't pass it.
Something you remind him of regularly?
No, I wouldn't make it. We were in 4-0. I'm only saying is my memory of the thing, you know. But the other thing is that I was. So you come on in a cup final, and you score a goal, 4-0, amazing. And when we were walking through the banqueting hall to go to the players, but so many people cursing me, United fans, cursing me, giving me abuse. Because they had 3-0. There's so many of them. What are you doing? What do you mean? What am I doing? That's my job. We had 3-0. How am I supposed to know that? Somebody must have had 4-0. Has anybody got 4-0? No, 3-0. Oh. And I got loads of comments like that all the way through. Like, I don't know, say, just beat Chelsea 4-0 in the FA Cup final and you're mourning. And then they were genuinely peeved that I'd cost them £100, you know. So
I was at that cup final with my old man. Fond memories, very fond memories. Is the clip of all your, you scored some cracking goals at United and were involved in some very momentous occasions. Is the clip of you assisting Eric for his chip still one of the main things that you see of your involvement at United? Well, there's the Beckham, of course, as well.
Yeah, there's 3 things that come up all the time, really. And again, it's 2, I would say, like 11-inch passes. David Beckham and Eric Cantona.
But it was a 1-2, wasn't it? Was it a 1-2 with Eric?
1-2,
yeah, he passes it to you.
And so there's 2 things that always seem to be in Premier League's always greatest goals. And the other one is the alleged penalty miss at Arsenal. So that's the thing. And but anyway, it's because there's loads of stuff all over Twitter about it that I've been doing Twitter tweeting.
Yes.
And it's I didn't deliberately miss the penalty, but I was there to take the penalty to miss it. That loads of people, I would like to think that loads of people who are supporters, if they could have a moment in their life to have made a catastrophic error but have played for Man United, I think they would have said, aye, all right, oh yeah, I'll take that.
Absolutely.
Now, I had many more catastrophic errors, but I also had quite a number of good things as well. For sure. And it's great though. It's great that people remember all these things and look at it and tell you how they felt when they were doing that and this and that. It's brilliant because I'm privileged because I have played good, bad, or indifferent.
You know, it's an iconic image of all the things I remember with you, the cup final, you know, the tapping and stuff. You hugging Eric when he's turning round and then you embracing him is, I don't know, it's an image that sticks in my mind, and no, it's a great image. You mentioned it there, actually, one thing, Twitter. You're fairly new to the ranks of Twitter. You're very new, yeah, like a matter of weeks or whatever it was, because when I saw you on there, of course, my initial thought was, it's a fake account, but then you've verified it yourself. How are you finding it, the world of social media?
Well, I really enjoy Twitter because it allows people almost instantaneously to give you a view on something, or you can give a view on something. So I think it's for me it fits in with my sense of humour because I think it's really amusing, really funny, and you can be anything and do anything you really want to do on it. And I think it's a great platform for people to express their views and opinions and feelings, and then it's really down to people. I mean, down to people then to deal with them in whatever way. I like people being critical on it because that's how they feel. It's the same way that people say, "Oh, you shouldn't shout at the players." Why not? If you don't like a player, that's fine. It's a matter of opinion. If you think you made a mistake, shout at them. It's part of the way that it is. People go out and earn their corn and work hard to do that in order to get some release, whether it's an enjoyable release because you're going to watch a great game of football, or you want to shout and scream and sing, whatever. Yeah. Like people come in here before the game and shout, scream and sing. Oh no, he gets paid for that, doesn't he? For shouting and screaming. That guy sings in here, allegedly. Now, and I've always think that's the same thing. So if people want to turn around and say, I've never recovered from whatever else is, fine, I would write it back. Thanks very much for your... And I can understand that, fine, you know. So that's your comment, you know. I'm not going to turn around and say, well, you're a dickhead and all that, because they're not. They're just people who are saying, that's how I felt. Yeah. So I really like it.
But you're a reasonable human being, so I think that helps.
But I just think, it's like, come on, it's like, I just enjoy it, yeah.
Have you well, a couple of questions on Twitter. Have you encountered any trolls in inverted commas?
I'm not bothered about people, whatever it is. It's
got a thick skin with it.
When you're a football player and you've been in the dressing room, you develop a thick skin. I think that people should be able to say, as long as it's not, personal. Well, no, it can be personal in a way. You can say I hate your beard or your eyes are too whatever. As long as it's not like saying something that's offensive to other people, then I don't mind. It's part of it. I mean, I've had plenty of hairdryers, so it's quite mild compared to that. So.
And any accounts that you recommend following? Is there anyone that tickles you on there? Someone.
Neville Southall.
Right. He's humorous.
Neville Southall.
Right. I'll take heed of you on that one. Your son Liam, he was in the academy at one stage, wasn't he? Yeah. I know now he's a musician and. He had his song at Old Trafford and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, just an update on how Liam's doing. And was it a choice of music over football? Did he love music more than football? Was that it?
Yeah, he chose. Yeah, I've never encouraged them. I've encouraged them all the time. I've never voiced any of my opinions on them. I've always allowed the children to make their own choices. Yeah. Excuse me, and Liam decided that football wasn't for him, and he got into more and more into music, and that's where he makes his living.
And at what age? Because obviously he played for the academy. At what age did that choice materialise? Do you think he was also good enough maybe to have gone on and play at a certain level?
Yeah, he'd have made a living in football.
Right.
Yeah, he would have made a living at football, but he chose, and you got to. Yeah. He's happy. That's the most important thing.
Your career, so just sort of fast tracking it, you go, obviously you leave United in '98 having basically won everything, and of course the year after we go on and win the European Cup.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, because when you've had a very decorated career and you played on, for a long time, there's no regret, is there, when you look back and think, oh, I'd love to have just stayed on a season and got the European.
Because my time was my time, and I'm very grateful for that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But you also got to remember, within that period of time, is that I've got a Super Cup winners medal.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes, you've got to be thankful for other things.
Absolutely. 4 premierships, 3 FA Cups, 2 FA Cups. You didn't play in the night, so you weren't given a medal.
No.
And then
I didn't play in the final. I played in the games up to that, but I didn't play in the final.
And it's something I touched upon off camera. You obviously are very, talking to you now, it's very, very evident you're an intelligent bloke. I remember back in the day, I was only a young lad when I started following United, and yourself. Everyone used to say, "Oh yeah, Chocky's he's an intelligent bloke," and the thing was that you'd done a degree, or you'd started a degree, or something like that. And at the time, people didn't think footballers were brainy. There was almost like a, it was a point that you'd actually done a degree. It stood out. It was education to you an important thing growing up, and is it something that, was it important?
Yeah, because it was. When my dad played some football. When I started to get into a bit more success in football, and that I was going to trials at 13, 14, all the time, and because I would have had experiences of it, football can finish tomorrow, break your leg and it's finished, and that did happen in the 60s, in the 60s when my dad had been playing football. And I was encouraged to do that, and I was always that, whatever. I think people are intelligent because they can do things. It doesn't mean to be academic intelligent. And I worked hard at school because I wanted to work hard at school. I wanted to be good at maths, and I wanted to be good at arithmetic. I wanted to be good at sort of things like that. And and they encouraged me to do that, so I stuck in at it. Has it done me any good? Probably not. Maybe it did, I don't know. Maybe it's part of a discipline. You need to have discipline. Yeah. And I stuck at it, got my qualifications, and that allowed me to be able to go to university.
Which was maths, physics, you said before, wasn't it? Did you?
Physics, chemistry and statistics, yeah. So.
Is it something you've ever wanted to pursue post-career?
Yeah, occasionally, every now and again, but I don't know what I would choose to do. I'm very thankful for football, for what it's given to me, and I love football and I love watching football. So you never know.
Do people come up to you and still wants to know about Chocky's Diaries? Was a very it was kind of became quite iconic.
Yeah, particularly since I've dipped my toe in the Twitter water. Yeah, there's some people that are interested in that. Yeah, so maybe it'll happen. Yeah.
Your nickname, Chocky, to me is as synonymous with Brian McClair. Chocky, it's synonymous. Nowadays, players don't really seem to have imaginative or sort of distinctive nicknames. It'll be maybe an abbreviation of. Why is it? Was it just a thing back in the day?
No, mine came from when I was at Celtic. So, and Tommy Burns made sure it stuck. So it was Chocolate McClair. It was rhyming slang for Chocolate Eclair. And over time it's just been shortened to Chalky. And I like to call myself Choquinho now.
Obviously sat nav we've had recently with Scholesy, but in your day, Captain Marvel, you were Chocky, Sparky. It just seemed more imaginative back then.
It was, yeah. I don't know. Some of them weren't, Brucey. That's not very imaginative, How you can have a nickname longer than your actual name. So.
Brian, I can't thank you enough for the time. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to some of your musings and stories.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you to invite me to share this time.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, sir.